The Gaza Strip is now the hottest spot on the planet after Hamas militants attacked Israel and killed hundreds of people. Now Israel continues to strike at Hamas bases and is preparing to launch a ground operation in the Gaza Strip. Hamas itself is holding hostages inside. All this bloodshed is not happening on this earth for the first time. Today we will talk with you about what is happening in general and discuss the main news. Let's start with the conflict between Russia and Ukraine. Russian forces destroy over 250 military helicopters in Ukraine. Operation Russian forces have destroyed over 250 Ukrainian combat helicopters since the start of the special military operation in Ukraine, Russia's defense ministry reported on Tuesday. In all, the following targets have been destroyed since the start of the special military operation: 491 aircraft, 251 helicopters, 7,953 unmanned aerial vehicles, 441 surface-to-air missile systems, 12,706 tanks and other armored combat vehicles, 1,163 multiple rocket launchers, 802 field artillery guns and mortars and 14,372 special military motor vehicles, the ministry said in a statement. Russian forces hit Ukrainian troops' ammo depots on right bank of Dnieper. Russian forces struck Ukrainian positions in Marganets and Nikopol in Ukraine's Dnieper region. Hitting troops' positions and depots for weapons and ammunition, Vladimir Rogov, leader of the We Are Together with Russia movement, told TASS. Are conducted successful pinpoint strikes on troops' positions and depots for weapons and munitions in Marganets and Nikopol on the right bank of the Dnieper, Rogov said. He referred to targets located opposite Energodar in the Zaporizhzhia region, across the Dnieper. Rogov said the strikes were prevented. According to preliminary data, among the destroyed targets, there were positions of special Ukrainian troops who had been undergoing training to cross the Dnieper River, he explained. The Ukrainian army has been making unsuccessful attempts to advance since June 4th. As Russian President Vladimir Putin said on October 5th, Kyiv has lost over 90,000 troops and more than 550 tanks over the 4 months of its counteroffensive. Russia has repeatedly stressed that Kyiv's counteroffensive has failed to yield any tangible results. Let's move on to the main conflict of the last days. Biden, other world leaders to visit Israel as crisis in Gaza intensifies. Several Western leaders announced plans to travel to Israel this week in a show of support ahead of the country's expected ground offensive in the Gaza Strip, and to plead for humanitarian relief for Gaza. Romanian Prime Minister Marcel Ciolacu met with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in Jerusalem on Tuesday. German Chancellor Olaf Scholz arrived in Tel Aviv later in the day. President Biden said he would visit Israel on Wednesday to show solidarity with the U.S. ally. The Israel Defense Forces have continued to bombard Gaza, including the southern parts of the Strip, an area to which the IDF has demanded that Gazans from the north relocate in anticipation of its expected offensive in the north against Hamas. As many as 1 million people may have been displaced from the north of the enclave, aid agencies say. Mideast teeters on the brink of wider war as Iran ponders its options. Fears that the Gaza war could trigger a wider and more devastating Middle East war are growing as clashes with Iranian-backed Hezbollah intensify along Israel's northern border with Lebanon, and Israel presses ahead with its plans for a ground incursion into Gaza aimed at destroying Hamas. The fears intensified late Monday with a warning from Iranian Foreign Minister Hossein Amirabdollahian that Iran's militia allies in what it called the resistance front against Israel could take unspecified preemptive action to deter an Israeli assault on Gaza. The likelihood that the war will spread to other fronts is approaching an unavoidable stage, Amirabdollahian wrote Monday on X, formerly known as Twitter, as Israel announced it had ordered the evacuation of 28 communities on its northern border. I hope you were interested. That's it, see you soon.